Amazing Battle Part 2. What up, guys? Blade Master here, and I again hopped on Quick Battle this time and found Mazku. And yeah, as I just said, this was an amazing battle. I've taken Baktria and he's taken Parthia. He took Parthia initially, and I took I took Baktria initially, and he took Parthia as a counter pick. So I decided to counter the counter, as how Maximus Decimus Meridius would put it. And decided to take a pretty anti-Parthia Baktria build. I've taken only a couple of horse archers here, whom I'm going to move to my left flank so that I can harass his cataphracts, as we can see on the far side. I've also brought a ton of spears. I brought 3 Bactrian Royal Guard, whom, if you haven't seen one of my previous videos on how to counter Parthia with Bactria, these units will almost always be a pretty essential force in dealing with Parthian cataphracts or Parthian swordsmen or mercenary hoplites. So basically, a unit that can beat almost all units of Parthia. I've also brought some Thuria spears, a total of 3 Thuria spears on either flank, so 6 Thuria spears and 2 Scalate Thorax Hoplites or Scale Thorax Hoplites, 3 Bactrian light archers, Persian light archers, and 3 Bactrian peltas. And finally, 1 Bactrian Hillman unit with the extra money that I had. Now, you might be wondering why I've decided to bring Bactrian peltas, and that's for 2 very special reasons, which I will reveal later. For now, let's focus on this little dogfight here. I'm trying to harass his cataphracts. He's moved inside with them, and he's instead presented his noble horse general and a couple of his Persian light archers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and improve my micro skills at every possible chance that I get. So I'm going to move up in front, induce his Persian light archers to start firing some of their ammo. And you can see they are going to start firing here, and then I'm going to pull back with my Scythian horse archers. Arrows are not going to really hit any of them, and meanwhile that just means that they would have wasted some of their ammo. You can see Mazku has brought 1 Indian war elephants on his left side. He's also brought a front line of 3 mercenary hoplites, looks like only a couple of Persian hoplites, and a couple of Parthian swordsmen who could be pretty influential in this game, and only 1 noble horseman, a couple of Median cav I believe, and 1 Eastern cataphract unit, and a total of 4 Persian light archers. And I believe he also had 1 Hillman unit whom he kept on his inside this forest. So I'm just moving up. I'm going to try and harass his Median cav, maybe turn on heavy shot. I don't really know if I turned on heavy shot, but more than anything, I'm just trying to induce him to start firing as many of his, waste as much of his ammo on my on my Scythian horse archers as possible. I'm not going to move up in front with my main line just yet. It's not like I'm going to remain stationary with them. I'm going to move up in front a little bit, but I was a lot more patient than my usual battles. That's why I don't really like playing with horse archers, just because it doesn't fit my playstyle. I'm a very rushy type of person. I've found I think I used to play better with horse archer builds, but now I just lack the patience necessary and the timing necessary to efficiently play with them. But anyways, I'm pulling off, going off into the sunset with these 2 Scythian horse archers. I'm going to try and get a huge surround going, turn around, and then use the woods as cover to start firing some shots on his elephants. And meanwhile, I'm squaring up. I moved up a little bit with my main line. In terms of the main line engagement, his Indian war elephants could be very influential, but again, we know that elephants in general are a huge risk to bring. Even with the new patch in place, they still are a huge risk, because they can very easily die, and they can very easily get run amok. You can see, I think they've already taken some HP damage because they've got the blood spatter on them, so I'm not really sure what happened there. But yeah, the thing is, I've got Bactrian peltas, I've got Persian light archers, and I've got Thuria spears, all of whom can fire javelins or arrows, and all of those are very deadly to Indian war elephants. So on the one side, I do have, Thuria spears and Scale Thorax Hoplites are not very strong units and cannot counter elephants very well, especially Indian war elephants, who are one of the strongest elephants. But on the other hand, if I can manage to get some javelin volleys on these elephants, they will die before they can even cause so much as a dent in my army. In terms of the rest of the engagement, his Persian hoplites will be faced up against my Bactrian Royal Guard, and that's the best case scenario. If they do get matched up against mine, I will punch a hole in his center before he even knows it, because Bactrian Royal Guard in general, in a hoplite on hoplite engagement, there's a huge discrepancy in power when it comes to elite tier hoplites versus regular, like mid-tier hoplites, more so than a sword-on-sword engagement. Like, for example, if you're going to fight up like with a thorax swordsman unit against something like a royal peltast or something, it will take longer for the thorax swordsman to die than it would for a hoplite to die against a Bactrian royal guard in this case. So the power discrepancy between an elite tier hoplite and a mid tier hoplite really plays a huge role when they're going up against each other. But his Parthian swordsmen could play a pretty big role as well. They will be engaged against, it looks like, my Thorea spears. I'm showering some volleys on them, and the main line battle is going to start. He's going to come in for what should be a pretty decisive charge with his Eastern Cataphracts. I bunched up and formed a square formation a bit too late with my Thorea spears, so they will get slaughtered from that charge. You can see they've already dropped. Oh my god, that Eastern Cataphract charge was terrible. But the rest of the engagement is going to start. The rest of the main line engagement. His mercenary hoplites are going to hit my Bactrian Royal Guard. It's not a very clean charge by either of our units, but in general, my Bactrian Royal Guard should win out that battle very, very quickly. I've turned on, and this is what I was going to talk to you guys about. I've turned on 2 abilities with my Bactrian Peltas. Now, I've done a terrible job with them, but this is why I decided to bring them. And this is actually going to be pretty useful for anyone who's looking into the more finer aspects of Total War Rome 2. You can see their missile damage is at 36 and their shots per minute is at 11. That's because these are the only Peltast unit that have 2 abilities. They've got both precision shot and quick reload. So that gives them, for 480 talents, you get a unit that has excellent armor at 65. And they also have the ability to shoot 11 shots per minute with extreme armor penetration. It isn't the 41 armor penetration of the really strong Peltas, but it's definitely something that can make them very deadly. His Indian War Elephants have done really well. He actually played this game really well because what he did was he engaged my Thorea spears and my scale thorax hoplites, my Peltas really quickly, so that his elephants didn't have to worry about javelins being fired on them. As for the rest of the engagement, it's up to my my Persian light archers to start firing on these units. And of course, his Persian light archers also got a lot of friendly fire kills on his elephants. They've already got double chevron, and getting 262 kills with them is brilliant. But they are out of control, so they are going to get some. They're going to push through his Persian hoplites as well, and in general, they're going to lose a ton of HP damage. My Bactrian Royal Guard have beasted out this engagement. They've got 59 kills. The other one's got 68 kills and punched a hole through his center. His hoplites, as expected, have died. I turned around my Bactrian Royal Guard because I was anticipating his elephants to charge straight into them. But in any case, they're starting to die now. Only 10 elephants left. And they've got 290 kills, so they've done brilliantly so far. His Parthian swordsmen, his hillmen, have done okay. They've killed off that Thorea spears unit, and at the very least, they bogged them down so that they couldn't shower their javelins, which enabled his elephants to be a lot more effective. My Thorea spears here are, I don't really know what they're doing. I should have set an attack order on them. I was too busy microing with the rest of my units. His noble horse archer general hasn't played much of a role in this game so far. My scale thorax hoplites, I put them in hoplite phalanx, so they should be able to last for a little bit against his Parthian swords. My general is going to beast out this battle in 100 kills with a single experience chevron. That's exactly what I was talking about. They've only got 21 casualties so far. No, 31 casualties so far. And they've got 112 kills on mercenary hoplites, and on a double mercenary hoplite line. And they didn't even get a proper charge in, because you guys saw that it wasn't a proper charge. They were aiming at hoplite over here. Meanwhile, a hoplite from here was charging at them. So despite all of that, they still managed to destroy 2 units of hoplite. So that's exactly what I was talking about the difference in power and how that really helps in a hoplite on hoplite engagement. His elephants have come back from routing. His Persian light archers are going to start racking up the kills because I sent one of my Bactrian Royal Guard to chase off some of his Persian light archers. I didn't really have much of a choice. But I think this is probably a stupid move on my part. I should have just stayed, with my line, kept my line, decent, and not cause unnecessary holes in my line. And his Eastern Cataphracts are going to, take advantage of that. and they're going to come up for what should be a pretty strong charge against my Bactrian Royal Guard general. Of course, my general, they are in Hoplite phalanx, and even though it's going to be a rear charge, the bracing I think does help. And on top of that, they have expert charge defense, but despite all that, he's popped trample on his Eastern Cataphracts, which gives him a deadly 101 bonus. So you can see the devastation that did to my Bactrian Royal Guard gen. 170 kills with them so far. And his Indian Royal Elephants are going to charge into my Thoria Spears, whom I did put in square formation, so that should help their bracing. Of course, they got slaughtered. But you can see this one elephant over here is it's starting to get bogged down. It was like just taking a ton of time to try and pass through my Thoria Spears, and I believe they're going to start dying very soon. Yep, there we go. One of them is dead. So yeah, even if you pop square formation at the last possible second, it does help. It makes a huge difference. His general is killing off more and more of my Thoria Spears. Their difference in the game is more pronounced now. He's going to charge straight into my very thin Bactrian Royal Guard line, which has already been depleted by some of his archers. But these are very, very strong units that we're talking about. His Bactrian Hillmen are going to come up for what should be a pretty good charge. These Hillmen have axes, I believe. Let's take a look. Do they have? Yeah, they do have axes, so it should be pretty devastating when you get into a rear charge on low HP but well armored units such as my Bactrian Royal Guard. But yeah, and you can see they've already got a single experience chevron. So Masku did really well with his Hillmen, and that's not a unit you'd really expect to do well in a game. My Bactrian Royal Guard have got a double experience chevron. His Eastern Cataphracts have been destroyed, even though they got a strong rear charge. And actually, this brings to mind something that Matt Slinky was talking about, and it is a very valid point. The thing is, in patch 14, this would have never been the case. On the one hand, elite tier spears in general and elite tier spears in particular have a much bigger role in games now. And by the way, I popped Warcry on my general so that I could shatter his Indian Royal Elephants, but that just didn't do too much. They have killed off a lot of my general unit, but my general is still alive, and they're going to kill these mercenary hoplites still, because 28 men versus 38 mercenary hoplites, I would favor the Bactrian Royal Guard. And actually that does dovetail into my point pretty well. Over here, if you make a mistake, you're not punished nearly as much as you would be punished in patch 14. Like if I allowed my general to get rear charged in patch 14 by an Eastern Cataphract unit, I could say goodbye to that general almost immediately, no matter who the general was. Whereas now, because units have such a huge amount of staying power, on the one hand it does help in making the game a bit more beginner friendly, and in general it does help in balancing the game out in a large part, because spears have a much bigger role, because they're allowed to stay in the game for a long time. But on the other hand, you're just not punished nearly as much for your mistakes in this game. And what that does boil down to is more than micro, it really just does, it depends on what kind of a build you pick. We always knew that Rome 2 more than anything was about what kind of a build you picked, and that's inevitable when you have a game with 20 plus factions and each faction is a counter to some other faction and stuff like that. But now more than ever, micro really doesn't play much of a role in this game. And that actually, if you're wondering, if you might be thinking of like trying to argue against that point, think of what the meta has been for the past couple of patches. It's been all infantry. And what do you do with infantry? You don't micro with them as much. You inevitably you micro with cavalry a lot more than with infantry, because of you want to make use of their increased maneuverability, their higher speed and stuff like that. But now, more than anything, it's been about the sheer brute force of melee infantry units and melee infantry spam. And usually that's, and 99% of the time, that's been enough to win people games. Now, coming back to the game, my Bactrian Royal Guard are going to get rear charged by multiple times by his noble horse archers. But again, it's not going to be enough. My Bactrian Royal Guard are just really beastly units with that 20 bonus versus large. They are going to be too strong for a unit like a noble horse archer. Despite being very low HP, they are going to be enough to, at least inflict many casualties on his noble horse archers. So only 24 men left. They have got a double experience chevron, so they have done pretty well. His Persian light archers were out of ammo, so they decided to charge up against my Bactrian Royal Guard, and he popped flaming shot on my general, which caused them to shatter, which is a very good move on his part. And now he probably should have changed his units into regular shot though. the morale penalty is just not going to be enough for a unit that has 70 base morale in the first place. And the fact of the matter is the game is still very, very close. I only have one Bactrian Royal Guard versus one depleted Noble Horse Archer, and one Persian Light Archer which is very depleted, and one Persian Light Archer which is routing now. I'm going to put Hoplite Phalanx because I was anticipating him to charge, but he did feint that charge, which is a very smart move, because at the end of the day you want your Persian Light Archers to get as many archer shots or archer fire, arrow fire, arrow is the word that I'm looking for, arrow fire on my on the backs of my Bactrian Royal Guard before you plunge in with your Noble Horse Archers in a move that would almost surely deplete a lot of their force. 24 units only left, and I'm going to move into the forest because I was I didn't want to take any more fire from his archers. They are still in a very thin line because more than his Noble Horse Archers, I'm fearing his Persian Light Archer fire more than anything. He's going to come out of the woods with his Persian Light Archers in a last attempt to kill off my Bactrian Royal Guard, and he's going to come in with a pretty sick rear charge in with his Noble Horse. But that charge wasn't really very effective because I turned off formation attack, so it wasn't a very clean charge. And 340 kills with my Bactrian Royal Guard and a triple experience chevron with them, and his Noble Horse Archers are starting to deplete now. 19 kills only left, 18. Will it go down to 17? Yeah, 17. Yeah, it's going down. I think I'm going to win this battle. Only 40 units left for me, and the point is they aren't routing, and more than anything I was anticipating a morale shock, and that's not the case. And only 9 units left, and that's the end of this game, you guys. Costly victory for me, and very, very well played by Masku, and tough luck. If this was patch 14, I would have gotten slaughtered. But if this was patch 14, elephants wouldn't have played nearly as much of a big role in this game as they have in this match. His Persian Light Archers, though, also did pretty well. 100 kills, 98 kills, 26, 63. Not too bad, considering the fact that I managed to deplete at least 4 or 5 volleys from a couple of them with my Horse Archers before engaging in my main line. My Bactrian Royal Guard just used brute strength to power through the center of his line. 365 kills, 209 and 258. They just decimated his mercenary Hoplite line. My Thuria Spears didn't do too much. They could have been a huge game changer in this game, but he bogged them down very early on. He got some really good charges in with his Eastern Cataphracts. You can see 213 kills, 169 kills with a couple of them, and he managed to bog down my Thuria Spears very early on. He managed to engage my Bactrian Peltas very early on, which allowed his Indian War Elephants to wreak havoc on my main line. And very, very close game, and probably I think Masku probably should have won this game. Anyways, guys, that's the end of this battle. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more. Peace.